Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Mary Mays. Welcome to my channel. Feel free to like and subscribe if you like this video. I want to focus on the threat for severe weather that we have today and over the next couple of days. And I'm also going to be talking about the flooding threat, and I just got some new information that I think you need to know about. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the severe weather threat for this afternoon and this evening. And this is for the Southern Plains. And you notice we have a slight risk that stretches from Abilene up through Wichita Falls into, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, all the way up into Wichita, even into portions of Missouri. And the main concern is that we're going to see probably some hail with this, some large hail. There's going to be damaging winds, that possibility, and also the possibility of a tornado. So let's take a look at the categorical risk here. So you got a tornado threat, I would say mainly around central Texas. This includes almost to Waco, but really around Abilene, kind of in that area. There's not a ton of people that live in that area, but there are folks who live in central Texas right there. So want to make sure that you guys know what's heading your way or what may possibly form there right in the heart of Texas. So we could see a tornado, about a 5% chance. That is something you got to pay attention to. And you can see a 2% chance swings all the way up through Oklahoma City into Wichita. And then the wind threat is a little bit greater, 15% probability that you're going to see gusts, 60 mile per hour, pretty much gusts with these thunderstorms within 25 miles of a point. So that's kind of your typical, severe thunderstorm winds. The thing that's interesting is this large hail threat that stretches from Abilene all the way up to almost Woodward there in western Oklahoma. So that area could get some really big, large hailstones. And this is going to be something we're watching for tomorrow as well. But right now, that is something I am going to be keeping an eye on. And let's get a look at the timing of these storms. So into this afternoon, you start to see these thunderstorms, really getting going around central Texas. You're going to probably get a little action there in Dallas, even some thunderstorms. But this line here is going to form along a dry line, basically, and you get some supercells. And when they're alone like this, a lot of times they produce that big hail. Now, these could be pretty photogenic storms, which will be interesting. And if they do manage to produce a tornado, which this would probably be the timing when they would, this is 7 o'clock Central Time, so afternoon into the early evening. If one of these storms is going by itself and spinning, not only could you get some large hail, but you could get a tornado. And there's the potential that these are going to be pretty photogenic just because of the timing. And you see this line, you got some of these storms out on their own. That's when they have the chance to produce the most trouble. But then you start to see a little line kind of congealing together. Looks like we're going to have two, one kind of going through, Oklahoma, and then another kind of going through Texas. And this continues into the nighttime hours. It's just going to get messy and wet. And you can see that stretches all the way up into Missouri, even to Illinois. And that's just part one of what we're going to be looking at. So Friday and Saturday, we have the chance for some severe weather as well. The other thing I want to mention is today's outlook for excessive rainfall. Central Texas, even into Dallas, Waco, you've got a slight risk of flash flooding. Basically, this is our excessive rainfall outlook. And this would mainly be kind of more typical, the storm drain gets clogged kind of flooding, but you definitely need to be alert if you live in a flood prone area, or if you live in an urban area where, these drains get clogged and suddenly your street's flooded. That's an issue that a lot of folks have, especially in the Dallas Metroplex. So this is what's going on for your Thursday afternoon and evening. Let's switch our focus over to Friday, because as you notice here, that slight risk extends from Waco, Dallas. It's kind of moving east along the Gulf Coast into Mobile, into New Orleans, into Jackson, Mississippi, into Montgomery, Alabama, Little Rock, Shreveport. All these folks, you're going to see a chance for some strong storms as well. And it's interesting because it's similar to what we're seeing today. You've got a tornado threat, 5%. That is something to pay attention to, especially in East Texas there, through northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas, into much of Mississippi and a good portion of Alabama, including Mobile. And then you have the wind threat pretty much in the same area, but you also have the threat of large hail, mainly East Texas into portions of Arkansas, northwestern Louisiana, into Shreveport. So once again, we could see some really big hailstones with this. When you have kind of that black hashed area there, that usually indicates really large hail. And that's something that the Storm Prediction Center is watching for. So you take a look right back here. So this is into tomorrow morning. Let's just go ahead and start at 6 a.m. pretty stormy there. You got two little lines or two little clusters of thunderstorms, one kind of in the southeast there, and then you get that cluster in Texas. And this continues through the morning. And then you get another line, it looks like trying to develop there along the Texas, Oklahoma border. But most of the action for Texas is tomorrow morning into Louisiana. Could see some big hail with this. And notice it's getting really stormy in Mississippi and Alabama. And we're going to have rain in the Tennessee area all the way up further north on the colder side of the system. But the severe weather threats mainly staying, sort of Gulf Coast into the southeast over the next couple of days. And you can see it's quite wet and stormy Friday afternoon. That's going to be a nasty commute in Birmingham and Montgomery, even into, places like New Orleans. And this is when the heavy rain's really starting to build in. And this action, I'm just going to go ahead and take a look into Saturday as well. We're going to go forward, actually. There we go. Sometimes you have to kind of go forward here. So this is Friday afternoon again. And you can see things are getting active in Atlanta, in the metro Atlanta area. And this is a lot of heavy rain at this time. So not only are we looking at a severe weather threat into Friday night, Saturday morning for Georgia, into the Carolinas, we've got really heavy rain as well. So this is a lot of action in a short amount of time. So let's talk about Saturday, Friday, and Saturday. So here is Friday. We've got that tornado risk, you got that wind risk, you got the hail risk. And then as we go into Saturday, once again, you're looking at a severe risk stretching across Atlanta into the Carolinas, Columbia, Charlotte, Wilmington, Savannah, into, the Florida Panhandle. So the severe weather threat isn't over with yet. But at this time, we're also very concerned about the threat of flash flooding. So this is Friday. And look at this. Birmingham to Atlanta is under a moderate risk of flash flooding. And, in the yellow there from Jackson, Mississippi to Greenville, South Carolina, that's a pretty good chance of flash flooding under a slight risk. But in that moderate risk, Birmingham, Montgomery, up through Atlanta, that means it's pretty likely you're going to see some flash flooding. And you got to prepare for that. Make sure you're giving yourself the time to, take your commute slowly, that you're checking conditions before you head out. But it's going to be really messy Friday into Saturday in these areas. And here's the outlook Saturday. You can see that flood risk still around, still lingering in the metro for Atlanta, Tallahassee, into Jacksonville. But the Carolinas here, including Columbia, South Carolina, still got a slight risk of flash flooding. So not only are we seeing a severe weather threat with these storms, we are seeing a flash flooding threat. And that's why I wanted to do this really quick update because, especially Friday into Saturday, this is really Friday into Saturday morning, Birmingham, Montgomery, up to Atlanta. That's a pretty big flood threat for these areas, and especially considering you've already seen a lot of rain recently. And this is just on top of, already soggy soils and, in spots like Birmingham and in Alabama, there down into Montgomery, into Atlanta. You can get flash flooding in urban areas pretty easily when you have, a lot of concrete, clogged storm drains. So just keep an eye on things before you head out, check road conditions, and remember, do not drive through a flooded road. It's turn around, don't drown, but also turn around, don't stall out your car engine. So that's what we're looking at. We have the chance for flash flooding, some severe weather over the next couple of days, southern plains into the southeast. This lingers today, tomorrow, into Saturday. So please use caution, and I will likely jump back in here if needed if we have any more big updates on these threats. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you are doing well. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Thanks, guys.